morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 1216. I didn't double check that number, so my numbers might be off. Oh man, what day is it? Thursday. Happy Thursday. This week, having been out of town Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday morning, has thrown my days off. But here we are, a whirlwind of a week, which is going to turn into another whirlwind of the week. And then August is going to be upon us before I know it. So a lot to get to this morning. Before I do, I'm going to flash my 99centcards.com at the bottom of the screen, my eBay store. Last night was the NBA draft. Didn't follow it like I normally do because there's a lot of European players. I don't follow the European leagues. I follow college basketball. And I am a draft nerd. Talked about that many times. I don't watch a second of NBA basketball, but I will consume the NBA draft. And I did for about the first half of the NBA draft last night. I watched, and then I went upstairs. It was getting late because it didn't start till 7. So I think I went upstairs at like 8:30, and it was halfway through. But I especially wanted to see the beginning of the draft because I have some Alex Sarr cards, who was projected to be either the number 1 overall pick or the number 2 overall pick. He went number 2. And I had found some, I had ripped some overtime elite cards when they came out in 2020, 2021. And Alex Sarr was in that set. And I had and have about 7 or 8 Alex Sarr cards, and I had them set aside for the NBA draft. I wasn't going to list. I'm like, normally I don't wait to list things, but if it comes to like basketball, I'll wait. I'll wait for basketball. And I'm like, this probably won't sell until the NBA draft. So I listed a few Alex Sarr cards last night. I think I listed 3 cards. The third just sold this morning. The first 2 sold last night, not long after the draft. So I sold 2 Ray Wave refractors. They sold for $15 each. The base refractor sold for $7.50. And I think I have 1 more refractor and a few base cards still to go of Alex Sarr. He went number 2 overall last night. He's out of France. He was drafted by the Washington Wizards. Number 1 overall pick was also a Frenchman. Alex Sarr is from France. Zachary Rissachet, I think. He went number 1 overall to the Atlanta Hawks. It sounds like maybe Alex Sarr didn't want to go to Atlanta, and that's why he was not taken. He did not even do a workout with the Hawks. So I don't know. I don't follow it that in depth. I don't know if that was the Hawks not wanting Alex Sarr or Alex Sarr not wanting the Atlanta Hawks. But at any rate, if you have any overtime elite cards from a couple of years ago, Alex Sarr is in there, and he's selling really well. So I want to get the other few cards I have left of him listed here this morning. What else is going on? Speaking of selling it on eBay, and I've talked about this as I prepare for a couple-week trip to Europe. So there's only a few episodes left of Hobby Evolution until the middle of July. So we'll go live here the rest of the week, and then probably Sunday, because we fly out Monday. So I think Sunday is going to be the last Hobby Evolution until July 14th. So whirlwind. What was I going to say? I need a haircut too. I was in the mirror yesterday and I'm like, oh my God, I need a haircut. Damn it. What was I going to talk about? Hobby Evolution. I can't remember. So, eBay sales. So I'm going to be in Europe. So typically what I've been doing, and I know some people say, and I think the people that may say this are not either full-time eBay sellers or not volume sellers. And so when I leave, when I put my store on vacation, or not on I don't put my store on vacation mode. What I've been doing is, okay, I see Brian's comment here, so I want to get to that before I go back to the top of the chat. I just put my out of office message up. I leave my store open. I leave my promotion percent the same. I don't touch any of that. I just put out of office so that so I'm not overdue on shipping for all of the items that I sell while I'm out. I've been doing that, and it's like eBay suppresses my sales, and I come home to like 2, maybe 3 days worth of sales if I'm gone for a week. So we'll see now that I'm gone, because this is my first long trip, since I've gone full time. So this is going to be interesting. I will be taking my laptop. So if push comes to shove, which I assume it will over a 2-week span, I'll, put my store, shut it down if I need to, but I don't plan on it at the beginning, at least. But what I was out of town Monday and Tuesday. My sales last week through the roof, but I added a lot of this stuff, and this stuff was selling like hotcakes. I left town on Monday and was out Monday afternoon, Monday night, Tuesday all day, and then I got home Wednesday around noon yesterday. My sales Monday and Tuesday were awful. If you combine Monday and Tuesday of my sales, it's still less than my average daily. It's almost like eBay knew I was away and said, okay, you've got a lot of shipping still to do. We don't want to make it worse on you when you get home. Thank you, I guess. I don't know. But I did come home, and I'm shipping. Like, as soon as I got home, Biscuit on it. I went for a walk as soon as I got home, and fixed her lunch that she didn't eat. I had, I'm on the road for 2 days, so I did have to break the diet, and I did have a slice of Casey's breakfast pizza on the way back. So I didn't eat lunch, and so did that. Came down, started shipping, shipped all afternoon, ran to the post office, dropped that first batch off, came home, shipped. My wife went out to dinner with her mom, so I shipped last night, watched the NBA draft. I had to sort. I'm behind on a couple of the flat rate boxes, which it's those lots, man. Yeah, it's nice to have a $50, $60 sale on those, but it's very time consuming. And it's like, I just want to sell singles because I'm not, unless I had everything pre-sorted, but everything's not pre-sorted. Yeah, sales. Where's Brian? Brian's comment. These last 2 days were rough. Not sure what I'm going to do with myself until July 14th. Oh, I thought he was talking about eBay sales. He was talking about no hobby evolution. Oh, my bad. I'm like, yeah, these last 2 days were rough. Oh, we're talking about different things. I was talking about eBay sales. You were talking hobby evolution. All right. So, but my sales were rough. Last couple days were rough. But also, man, I think I got more work done from the hotel room Tuesday morning than I would have gotten done if I ran Hobby Evolution. Brian says he's got tickets to trading card night at the AmFam Clam, Miller Park. I get a free binder and a pack of team cards. Pretty excited. So I'm pretty excited. The Madison Card Show has partnered with the Milwaukee Brewers for trading card night, Tuesday, July 9th. The Brewers host the Pittsburgh Pirates. Unfortunately, I will be in Switzerland, so I had to call in the reserves. My man, Brad Richards, up at Bonsai Cards and Collectibles. He's going to be running the Madison Card Show booth, so he's going to bring his stuff. And then I'm going to take up, my wife last night created a new poster that I'll get printed and head up to DeForest and drop off to Brad at Bonsai so he can take that over July 9th. So there's a pregame or a pregame card show at American Family Field, home of the Brewers, on Tuesday, July 9th. Gates open at 5:40, so you'll have to get tickets. Obviously, your ticket gets you into the game and the card show. Card show runs from 5:40 when gates open through the second inning. So the I don't know as far as dealer tables. I don't know how many tables there's going to be. I don't know how you can acquire tables. That you'll have to reach out for now to the Milwaukee Brewers. I am getting some of that information. It kind of came together here over the last. We got things finalized yesterday. So that was a surprise drop in my email inbox on, I think, Monday afternoon. Like, hey, would you like to partner with us? And I'm like, sounds good, but what's in it for me? So yeah, so that's good stuff. So that's July 9th. So excited for that. I'll be excited from afar. And also, so that was Monday, and then Monday when they reached out to me about that. Tuesday, I acquired another Goodwill pallet, which I will be picking up later today. So busy. And what did I tell you? Estate sale last week. Bulk lot from Steve on some modern stuff last week. And I'm like, it's probably time for, when it rains, it pours. It comes in threes. Goodwill pallet probably going to fall in my lap soon. Guess what? Goodwill pallet fell into my lap. And so I'll be getting that today. It looks like there's some good stuff. I know there's at least a Cal Ripken Jr. rookie. There's some other good stuff. I'm like, oh, wow. Usually the top, what they sprinkle on the top to draw me in. I know the really good stuff. And there's nothing like really good. I mean, Trout rookie I got at the right time, sold for $600. Marvel, some rare Marvel. Usually it's quantity, quality. Sometimes a lot of junk. I usually end up throwing a bunch of cards away as well. Brian says there's a card show at the game. Yes, it's not going the entire time. It runs through the second inning. So the card show, as soon as you get through the gates at 5:40, the card show is there. So you want to get there early. You don't want to be out eating brats in the parking lot, tailgating at 6 o'clock. You're going to want to be at the card show. So the card show starts when you get in at 5:40, and it runs until the end of the second inning. So that's the card show. So about a 2-hour card show, because the game first pitch is 7:10. So figure 5:40 to 7:40-ish. So roughly 2 hours for the card show. Again, I'll try to have more information on the card show part of it for tomorrow. But yeah, as Brian mentioned, there's also, you get a binder and a pack of cards with your ticket to the game. So that's Tuesday, July 9th, American Family Field. Brewers and Pirates. The Madison Card Show will be there. I won't be there, but the show will be represented by my buddy Brad from Bonsai Cards and Collectibles, and he will be set up at the show at American Family Field. All right, let's go to the chat. Victor's in the house. I got to see Victor. Oh, by the way, I saw Victor at the 1984 Cubs reunion on Tuesday night, and he goes, hey, I got something for you. Look at this, my man. So let's get this properly set up. It is beautiful. So thank Victor. I can't thank you enough. The Rhino statue bobblehead. It's a bobblehead. Yes, it is. The Rhino said this was given away Sunday before the game. Victor could have sold this on eBay for like $100, but instead he gifted it to me, and I thank you. I got to get you some good stuff now. So let's go put it on the shelf. I think this is top shelf material. I got the Ernie Banks. Oh, I got a Billy Williams. I got a couple Ernie Banks. I got a few statues up there. Let's put him, Javi Baez. We're gonna take him down. Well, we'll put him somewhere else. But I think this is top shelf next to Ernie. I'll do some rearranging because I've got a Billy Williams and a Ron Santos statue. So we'll put the statues up top. I ended up moving Nick Madrigal, but Javi, you're next. Javi gets moved. He's no longer top shelf material. So thank you, Victor. Got to hang out with Victor on Tuesday night at the 1984 Cubs reunion. Steve's here. What's up? Welcome back. Thank you. What an unbelievable looking Club 400 event. Wish I could have been there with you all. It was awesome. And even saw, I think, 3 different people that I typically only see in Arizona at spring training. Stephanie, who she's one of the raffle ticket women at Sloan Park. Stephanie was back. She's surprised. It was kind of a double whammy. I think it was her mom's birthday over the weekend. And I saw on Facebook she was in town. I'm like, I wonder if she's coming to the event. And I saw it right before the event. I'm like, hey, Raquel, who we see out at spring training, she lives, I think, in Indianapolis. So she came, both first timers. And Rich, our buddy Rich, the photographer, Rich flew out for the event as well. He came back for the statue on Sunday. And so he was out taking some photos at the event on Tuesday night. So typically those 3 I only see at spring training. And they were all at Club 400 on Tuesday. Lewis, good morning. Orlando, what's going on? Good morning. Todd, what's happening? Welcome back. The 84 reunion looked like a blast. What fun, man. And all the players are like, they were having a good time. And a couple of them mentioned they hadn't been. I think Rich Bordy said he hasn't been to Chicago since 1988. I mean, that's almost 40 years. That's 35. Richie Hebner hadn't been back in 35, 40 years. In fact, I think Richie said he hadn't been back since 86. When did he get? Can't remember what his if he was traded or just was a free agent. But yeah, some of those guys, and of course they hadn't been together and seen each other. And it was cool because there were names like Rich Bordy, Warren Brewster. Who else? Thad Bosley. Like, you don't see a lot of these guys out in public, at signings or Cubs convention. So it was great to meet some of those players. And Richie Hebner, let me tell you, I've got to put a couple of his stories on YouTube. I think I was able to get 2 videos of Hebner sharing stories. Man, I could have some beers with Richie Hebner and listen to his stories all day. Cooter, what's up? Good morning. 99-cent cards. CA, what's up? Rise and shine. It's Bobo card time. Yes. Kyle wants to know, how was Jody Davis? Jody, cool as a cucumber, as always. And I did not get a Dale story from him. I did see him, and I was gonna ask him on Monday night. I went out to the golf course. I went in Monday afternoon and helped set up, basically just moving tables around, filling coolers on Monday. And then I rode out to we needed a truck. Stu's truck we needed. So I went with Stu's wife out to the golf course, and I ended up just hanging out there for a little bit before getting a ride back to Club 400. And fuck, am I bleeding? I got mosquito bites and I was scratching mosquito bites, and it sucks. Anyway, so Jody was there. Some of the players had wrapped up their golfing, and Jody was there, but there were a couple guys that were talking to him, so I didn't want to interrupt. And I didn't get a chance. There were so many people there Tuesday, so didn't really get a chance to talk. So unfortunately, I did not get a Dale story, but I have a feeling I'll run into Jody Davis again in the future. he's seems like he's always around. So I'll get that Dale Earnhardt story from Jody. But Jody's a great guy. Scott, good morning. Philly Joe's in the house. Good morning. Looking forward to the reunion recap. James says John Kenzie Noel is selling like hotcakes. I think I did sell a whole bunch of John Kenzie Noel. I sold a purple refractor yesterday. I sold some base cards, some paper. David, what's going on? Good morning. Zach says, you watching the draft is like Low Roller Scratcher, who I did see comment. It's been a while since we've seen him. Consuming your content, not interested in the main topic event for some reason, won't miss this show to tell us about Bitcoin skill games and selling advice. Brian's here. Good morning. Mark, good morning. Looks like you had a blast at the Cubs reunion. It was an awesome time. Steve says, based on what I've seen, looks like Richie Hebner was the star of the show. Yes, Richie Hebner, star of the show. It was kind of like the very first Club 400 event I went to was in, I think, 2017, maybe 2018. I can't remember. The years all blend together now. But Bill Buckner, rest in peace, was the headliner. And then Ray Burris just kind of came along and like, oh, hey, Ray Burris. And Ray Burris stole the show with his stories. And yeah, Richie Hebner stole the show with his story. But I mean, I guess I wasn't really surprised. He did dig graves in the off season, so I wasn't too surprised that Richie Hebner had quite the sense of humor and outgoing. Well, I guess if you're digging graves, it's a little different than being a mortician or funeral home. What you think of usually funeral. We have a local funeral home here in Madison, and their commercials are like the most somber. I guess it is they're dealing with death, but it's like I know you don't have to go used car salesman on a funeral home commercial, but yeah, I mean, it's like you look up mortician or funeral home director in the dictionary or wherever, and that's what it is. It's very depressing, which I guess death typically is. Anyway, Herman, what's up? Good morning. Herman will be happy to know that Jody Davis's ringtone is the University of Georgia fight song. Of course, Jody Davis, a huge, diehard Georgia Bulldogs fan. Todd says, didn't know much about the top picks this year, but I'm hoping Cooper Flagg, originally from Maine, goes number 1 next year. And yes, I'll be spending too much on his cards. Is he a college player now? I don't think I'm familiar with. I've kind of lost over the last 10 years. I've really lost touch with high school and young college players. Duke, is he committed to Duke? Looks like he's wearing a Duke 2020. Okay, so he'll be going into Duke. Newport, Maine. All right, so watch out for Cooper Flagg. He'll be in a Duke uniform this upcoming season. Mark says, did you ask Richie how he enjoyed his stay in New York in 1979? I did not. Johnny Boy Cards is here. Good morning. Mark says, girlfriend is a Yankees fan. It was an interesting past 2 days. Zach wants to know what's wrong. James says, Series 2 and Bowman selling like crazy. Dan's in the house. What's going on? Low Roller Scratcher has some great advice. There you go. More pallets. I think this is like 17. Pallet number 17. Kyle says, maybe this pallet will restock the NASCAR shelf. Yeah, that NASCAR shelf is looking bare. I think there's about one small box and maybe a pile of NASCAR cards. That's all that has been acquired. Although I think I might have, with the bulk I bought last Wednesday from my buddy Steve, there might be some like modern NASCAR, like Prism stuff. Let's see. No Mercy. What's up? Do you think slow sales are due to the eBay summer update? My sales over the last 2 days have been abysmal. That's a really good point. And I did read somewhere they they toyed with something in the background. I mean, my sale, like I said, Monday and Tuesday, I mean, you look at my graph, it's just, and yesterday my sales were twice my average. But Monday and Tuesday were abysmal. Wednesday was amazing. Sunday was down, but pretty close to my average. I think in Sunday, June 23rd was the first time I was below my daily target since June 10th. And then yesterday, my sales were almost triple my target number. And Monday, Tuesday, did not even collectively add up to my daily target. So something happened. I think you're right. There was a summer sales update, and I think whatever that was suppressed something on the back end, because those are outliers. Those days, and I do this full time, and I do this long enough, and I do enough volume that I can pretty easily spot outliers. Like, okay, this wasn't just a slow sales day. When you were at 25% of your average, that's an outlier. And then all of a sudden, the next day, you're 3x your daily number average. It's like, okay, something's up. Let's see. Low Roller says, you heard Twitter live stream will be no longer free. I did not hear that. I've never done. I do Twitter live stream now through StreamYard. So I guess that would affect me, wouldn't it? But I did not hear that. Will I pay for Twitter? Maybe. I don't know. It's not something that's the thing, like the blue check mark. Like, I've never really cared about the blue check mark. And from what I've heard from people that have had it, the most part, it's not worth it. Let's see. Herman says he waited 3 hours for that. Oh, that's a slight on Victor's 3 hours in line for the Rhino statue. Thank you, Victor. Cooter says, still have my Brewers team set from a drunken weekend at Milwaukee County in 1995. Very cool. Very cool. And speaking of Cooter, I have an Oklahoma City Rhino bobblehead. It is not on the shelf. I still need, he was decapitated in transit. I need to recapitate Rhino. That would be pretty cool. I would have the Oklahoma City, and maybe once I get that fixed, I can do the minor league Rhino, the playing days, because I'm sure I have a Rhino Cubs bobblehead. I mean, it wouldn't have been given out during his playing days. Bobbleheads weren't really a thing in the 80s and 90s. I'm sure I have. Oh, I do. And it's classic. I think it's it's 84, MVP 84. I bought this at a garage sale, ironically. And then here it is. Here is the Oklahoma City that Cooter gave me. Thank you, Cooter. I tried super glue. Super glue did not, but that's Ryan Sandberg, Oklahoma City. The Cubs I got at a garage sale from my buddy John, and that's where I first met John. And John now he does some like contract work and sells memorabilia. He does a little bit of everything. He's kind of a flipper. Not just cards. But he got bored. He got bored sitting at home doing that. And so now he, like a couple days a week, will drive the shuttle at the Sheraton. And so usually I see him on Saturdays at the card show. So we get to catch up. But he had a garage sale, almost 10 years ago. I mean, I think it might have been the first or second year I had been in Madison. And he had cards and scorecard. He had old Cubs. I think I bought a 1948 Cubs program and the Rhino bobblehead. And then he's like, I'm like, do you have any cards? And he's like, oh, down to the basement. Famous last words. And I'm like, oh, holy shit. I went back because he was running the garage sale. So he showed me. And so I went back like the next week to check things out. And it's like, okay, I buy bulk. We couldn't really come on a price, come together on a price. But that's where that came from. Orlando says, awesome gift, Victor Rhino bobblehead. Love it. Love it. Cooter says at least that Sandberg still has his head. I agree with Dan. Great gesture from a great man. Victor is the best. Victor's awesome. Low Roller Scratcher wants to know if Orlando has a whatnot show. Zach says Cubs treated that Rhine statue like Bo treats the scaling up of the eBay store episode. Long overdue and may never happen. Victor says, Herman, I waited in line yesterday at Comiskey for a Damon jersey for my kid. Nice. I agree 100%. Vic is a great and generous guy. Absolutely. I was shocked. And he also gave me this. This is the Pat Hughes sweater. And I do remember him saying he had an extra. So I will wear that proudly this winter. And so when he pulled the Rhino, I'm like, I was shocked. I'm like, whoa, you could have got a bag for this on eBay. Orlando says he sells mostly on ComC. Brian says, I might make a few cards and hide them around the stadium for people to find. Dan wants to know, how many balls did you get signed? 5. So I had 6 baseballs left over from spring training that I didn't. I don't think I got any balls signed at spring training. Maybe a couple. I've kind of gone away from baseballs, but when I looked in my ball wall cabinets, there's some that like minor league guys that didn't make it, and it's like, okay, these guys don't need to be in the cabinets. But I'll put Warren Brewster and Richie Hebner. They absolutely deserve the 84 Cubs. So I got Warren Brewster, Thad Bosley, Richie Hebner, Rich Bordy, and Brewster, Bordy, Bosley, Hebner. Who was the 5th? Who was the 5th? And a 5th? There was a 5th. But I got a bunch of like random stuff signed. So I had the first issue of Vine Line with Leon Durham on the cover. So Bull signed my first Vine Line issue. My friend Tommy got, he had it like an original 8x10 of Marla Collins. Remember Marla Collins? If you were a fan of baseball in the 80s, you remember Marla. She got fired by the Cubs for posing in Playboy in 1986. She was in attendance, so Tommy printed off an extra 8x10. It looks great from a Walgreens print. So she signed an 8x10. What else? I had 5 baseballs. And Stu from Club 400, he gave me, they had 11 by, I didn't know these existed, 11 by 17 like poster cards that Topps put out. I think the date is 2013. And I think it's 5 cards. It's Durham, Ronce, Durham, Ronce, Sandberg, Jody Davis, and maybe the 5th is the one that I got a ball signed by. And then a logo, and it says 1984 National League East Division champions. So I had Jody Davis sign one of those. And then on the logo, I had Tim Stoddard, Steve Trout, and Bob Dernier sign the logo because I've got them on multiple cards. I've got baseballs of those guys. So I'm trying to think of who that 5th baseball was signed by. I guess I could just run and go look. Chuck Rainey, of course. Who was Rainey's nephew? I thought it was Ray Rainey that was in our chat last week. So I saw Chuck at, I don't know if it was at the private party on Monday night or if it was at the golf course, but I saw Chuck and introduced myself. And I said, hey, do you have a nephew named Ray? And he goes, no, not that I know of. So I don't know if that's his real name or if I just forgot what his name was in the YouTube chat. But Chuck does not have a nephew named Ray. So I don't know. I thought that was what Chuck's alleged nephew said in the chat last week. But Chuck Rainey. Let's see. Where are we at? Dan says Hebner's last 2 years were with the Cubs, 84, 85. So 85, I think he said 85 was the last time he was in Chicago. Victor says, great people at Club 400. Awesome people. I've met so many friends through Club 400. Let's see. Orlando says, maybe someone is on Whatnot with a collector's dream. Someone has my name on Instagram also, not me. Nick's in the house. Didn't realize Bosley played for 7 teams. Yeah. And he looks like he did in 1984. Thad Bosley hasn't aged in 40 years. This is a good question that Zach asks. Why is it called Club 400? It's a great question. The answer, it's based off the sign in left field, 400 feet to left field. Club 400. So that's what, and I think there's a Club 400 supper club or bar in the Milwaukee area. Like if you type in, if we Google Club 400, Waukesha. There's a Club 400 in Waukesha. It's a bar. That actually comes up first on your Google search, and then you have club400cubs.com. So not sure when the next party will be. I think he's probably going to take it easy. There's a road trip. There's a Club 400 road trip at the end of July. I will not be going to that. It's in Kansas City for Cubs and Royals. I think Leon Durham's going to go. He was all excited about the road trip to Kansas City. And Brian McRae is kind of hosting. He was a Cub and a Royal. So Brian McRae, a friend of Club 400. So that is – so originally I wasn't going to go because I think it's the same time as the National possibly. I'm not sure what the schedule is, but it was either the same time or just too close. It's like I'm not doing Kansas City and Cleveland. And then I decided not to go to Cleveland, and I've decided, well, I'm not going to Kansas City either. So where are we at? Mark says Richie hated his one season with the Mets. I would have too. They were horrible. I was at the game and overheard him say to a reporter off camera, can't wait to get the F out of here. Johnny Boy Card says, my sales have been terrible over the past 2 weeks. And see, mine have been amazing over the last 2 weeks, with the exception of Monday and Tuesday of this week. Nick says, have any of y'all read The Wax Pack? I have read like the first 3 chapters and I just couldn't finish. I just couldn't. I don't know. But a few days ago, I had posted on Twitter I had asked about some recommendations for books for the flight, for my flight next week. And a couple of the recommendations, I have the books. And so in my nightstand, I have books that I have read, but mostly books that I have read like 100 pages and just got tired and stopped reading. So I went through, it's like, I don't even have to go shopping for books because I've got a whole bunch of books I never finished. So I've got 3 or 4 books that I'll be taking. And hopefully, I mean, on a plane, like it's different. I think it's different when you're laying in bed as opposed to being on a plane. I can read books on a plane. In bed, I don't know. It's a little, it's like either I'm on my phone or I'm going to sleep. So I'm opening books and it's like, oh, I read the first 70 pages of this. I read 100. It's like every frickin' book. And I mentioned that to my wife, and she's like, I know. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess it's a thing. Lewis says, a gravedigger is called a sexton. I got to meet Pete Rose, and I couldn't speak. I was like Ricky Bobby in his interview after his first win. And I've met many celebrities and not had that issue. Brandon Hayes, what's going on? Good morning. Longtime video rewatcher. Finally able to watch a live one due to some tubes being snipped yesterday. Oh, ice enlisting today. Ouch. Ouch. Get better. Herman says it wasn't a slight on Victor, more a statement. Okay. All right. So you can't read sarcasm. I didn't know if it was sarcasm. Bill Simus says Bill Murray bobblehead day in Joliet next week. Excited for that. That sounds fun. Dan says, Vic, I'm going to start looking at the Sox schedule for stadium giveaways, and I'll get back to you. Troy, good morning. Troy says, my sales have been a bit slow this week, but I sell 75% hockey, so it makes sense. Yes, and I think the Stanley Cup just wrapped up. Was it Monday night? Because I think the game was on it at the bar inside Club 400. Adding more baseball, football, and Pokemon to store to try and even it out more. Let's see. Low Roller Scratcher says, I'm promoting this live stream. You will get new viewers to discover your show. Easy hits for you. Cool. Thank you. Todd says, thank you for recommending Rookies app for custom cards. Been having fun creating some custom cards. Isn't it a blast? I wish they would add some new templates. They haven't added new templates in 10 years. And they've said the Rookies app is coming to Android soon. I waited 2 years. I waited 2 years for it to come to Android. And then in 2014, 10 years ago, I switched to iPhone. So it's been at least 12 years coming soon to Android. So if you want the Rookies app, you got to have an iPhone. Dan says, I looked them up. Give the WAR from highest to lowest of the 4 players you got signed. Add Rainey to the list. Okay, so let me write these down. I'm more of a visual person. So it was Thad Bosley, Rainey, Brewster, Hebner, and Bordy. All right, so I'm going to rank him 1, 2. I'm going to go. This is tough. Okay, so here's my rankings. Just off the top of my head, I'm going to rank. So this is WAR from highest to lowest. This is my guesses. Dan has the answer. Of the 5 Cubs players, I got signed baseballs on Tuesday night. The players again, Thad Bosley, Chuck Rainey, Warren Brewster, Richie Hebner, and Rich Bordy. So this is my ranking. This is my guess. Just top of my head. I'm going Richie Hebner, number 1, career WAR. Number 2, I'm going Warren Brewster, number 2. Now 3, 4, and 5 was more difficult. I'm going to go Thad Bosley, number 3. And then I'm going Chuck Rainey, 4, and I'm going Rich Bordy, number 5. Because I think Bordy probably played the fewest seasons of those 5. And I know Rainey played, when was he a rookie? Like 79? But I think Bosley and Rainey had similar career years. All right, so here's the answer. So Dan says Hebner is number 1. Brewster, oh, shit. I got them all 5 correct in the right order. Wow. How about that? How about that? I was right. That's pretty cool. Thank you. That's a fun little trivia. Uncle Rich, good morning. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, visit my eBay store, 99centcards.com. Have you subsequently just to see the den? Nick says, I met with the Wax Pack author when he was on the road interviewing players here in New York. It's a great look at a player's afterlife. And he also recently did a wrestling book, I think, or if he's in the process, it hasn't been published yet, but either it has or it will be soon on 80s wrestlers. Orlando says Panthers won their first Stanley Cup. Yes. Zach says, don't bring a physical book on a plane. Oh, I only read physical books. Use your pad or phone and utilize your library's free book service. Less weight and easier to manage the more you know. I bring books. I'm stubborn. I'm not going to do it. I don't like reading iPads. I want a physical book. So, which does limit me. I mean, I'll bring maybe I'll pack one extra book in my suitcase and then I'll bring 2 on, but I don't bring my carry-on. I mean, a 2-week trip to Europe, I'll have a bunch of shit. Like if I'm going to Arizona for spring training for a week, I'll bring 1 book. Europe, I'll probably bring 2 books, maybe a third. So let's see. Low Roller says, if you can't afford an iPhone, get an iPad. There you go. There's the war stats, Bruce. And look at that. So Bosley, Rainey, and Bordy were all kind of what I thought, all clumped together. And Brewster, and I figured Hebner and Brewster were number 2, or 1 and 2. I knew Hebner was going to be number 1 by far. Brewster was a little lower than I thought at 3.8 career WAR. And then Bosley, Rainey, and Bordy all pretty tight together. Lewis says, after doing cardio. Zach says, if you can't afford a phone but have an iPad, then you should evaluate things closer. Also, iPads can make calls as well. There you go. Low Roller says, the Olympics are coming up. Brian says, the Wax Pack is a fun book. I bought it for my brother 1 year for Christmas. Even gave him a few junk wax packs. The wrestling book is good too. The 6-pack. Oh, so it is out. Okay. Maybe I'll put an order in on Amazon and I'll have to see who, let's see. I'm going to Google. Depends on who the 6 are. Oh, the 6-pack book. Let's see. Brad, what's his name? Balukjian. Let's see. From the best-selling author of The Wax Pack comes another eye-opening road trip adventure into a pocket of iconic pop culture, professional wrestling, starring the Iron Sheik, Hulk Hogan, Tito Santana, and many more larger-than-life characters of the WWF from the 1980s. Let's see. From working out with Tony Atlas to visiting Hulk Hogan's karaoke bar, we see where these men are now and how they have navigated the cliffs of fame. So I'm assuming it's a 6-pack. It's 6 wrestlers. Ooh, Death on the Territories. That sounds like a good book. I can get it as soon as July 2nd, just in time for me to land in Switzerland. I could probably just go to Barnes & Noble. I hate going to Barnes & Noble, but I mean, I guess I'm buying on Amazon. I can do this later. Okay. Where are we at? Brian says, dude, that's effing crazy. Just got a Rise coffee ad in the middle of the stream. Huh. I thought I ended the middle of the stream commercials on YouTube. Does the Milwaukee airport still have the bookstore as a central location? I don't know. I don't think I've ever been inside the Milwaukee airport. Have I ever flown out? I've never flown out of Milwaukee. I've been there to pick up my wife because sometimes they would take, because Southwest does not fly out of Madison. So, and we're flying out of, usually it's I fly either out of Madison or O'Hare. So, we're flying out of O'Hare, flying O'Hare to LaGuardia, I think, and then LaGuardia to wherever in Switzerland. If so, be adventurous and buy a book there. Brian says, was spoiled the last 3 months with a free premium YouTube subscription. Never knew that it came with music and everything else, but not sure I want to spend $16 a month. Yeah. I know some people in here do subscribe to YouTube Premium. I do not. I have YouTube TV, but not YouTube Premium. Zach says Milwaukee has the used bookstore. Nick says, oh, and we have we have like bargain books or something. It's a pretty large used bookstore. They actually moved locations. Nick says Slaughter, Santana, Tony Atlas, Hogan, and Jose Luis Rivera. See, that's the type, like Hogan, I don't really care. Hogan and Slaughter, like they're in the spotlight still. Tito Santana would be interesting. Tony Atlas and Jose Luis Rivera would certainly be interesting. It's about the first WrestleMania. Okay. And Iron Sheik. Zach says, the only thing I use on my iPad is the ComC app. The problem is I don't know what store to check out. I've never gotten a suggestion. I think he says tongue-in-cheek. Herman's headed to the beach. Have fun. You enjoy the rest of your day. Brian says, send the book to your hotel in Switzerland. I'm sure shipping won't be too bad. Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. Zach says, Uncle Rich, good news is Milwaukee still has the Spanx store too. So you are covered when you come in for the show. Dan says, do people from Manhattan always give people from other boroughs shit? I saw that tweet. That guy responded to you a few weeks back. Let's see. Brian. I subscribe with a friend. We use a family membership. It's a little cheaper that way. You can look into that. Zach says, what form of currency is allowed in your store? I ask because a few years back, I started investing in non-federal currency. It isn't accepted everywhere. Low rollers investing in Bitcoin. Nick says, we now have a lot of gentrifiers in Manhattan, Brooklyn, who look down on the other boroughs. So Club 400 reunion was a blast. Tuesday was, we got a lot of storms. So Monday was the golf outing. And then Monday night was a private party, steak. They had a baked potato bar, bacon wrapped asparagus. I skipped the baked potato, but I ate that big old honking steak, man. And I sat and ate with Wayne and Kathleen Messmer, which was awesome. I have met them a few times. Now, Wayne Messmer, he's kind of the main anthem singer for the Cubs. He sings the national anthem quite a bit. He and his wife together did the anthem on Sunday before the game during this statue unveiling. Awesome people, great talking to them. They're going to Europe later in July, and we were talking about our trips. They shared the story of how they met. That was pretty cool. Just awesome people, Wayne and Kathleen Messmer. So had dinner with them, sat with them for dinner on Monday night at the party, the private party, and then got a lot of work done on Tuesday morning from the hotel. Went over about noon to help set up. It stormed on Tuesday morning, like all morning. It rained, stormed, lightning, the whole shebang. It's like, oh man, that weather front went through. It got hot. It got humid. I am drenched. Me and Tommy are moving all this heavy shit. Stu bought this giant bat throne. Spent way too much money on it. I think he lost. He got 50% of what he paid for it at the auction on Tuesday night. There was a Hammerschlagen game, which I don't think ended up getting auctioned off. We carried that whole honking thing down. By like 3:30, 4 o'clock, we had pretty much wrapped. We were filling coolers, moving coolers around. By 4 o'clock, I'm like, I got to go back to the hotel. And I wanted to take my car back so I could Uber after the party. And so I drove back to the hotel, parked, and took a shower. I was like drenched, like literally just drenched. You could wring out. So it was good work. And then I, what I lost, I added back in beer on Tuesday night. So party was great. Q&A session, autographs, friends, good stuff. And then got home yesterday. So again, I'm picking up a Goodwill pallet today. Make sure to visit my eBay store. I'm going to try to get some more stuff added today. I'm shipping out 2 of the flat rate boxes. I sold 5 more last night of the basically dime quarter box stuff, and I add a few dollar cards, and usually I put an autograph or a jersey card in each box. That's in my eBay store. So I've got to make up basically 7. I've got last night during the NBA draft, I was sorting, so I got the 2 that need to ship out. I've got those, and I just got to find boxes to get those filled and put in the flat rates. And then I've got to make up 5 more. What else? Oh, and don't forget, Tuesday, July 9th, I'll make sure before tomorrow's Hobby Evolution to get that streaming at the bottom of the screen. Madison Card Show partnering up with the Milwaukee Brewers. They are hosting Trading Card Night on Tuesday, July 9th at American Family Field. There is a giveaway. You get a binder and I think a team set of Brewers baseball cards. Gates open at 5:40. There is a card show inside the stadium. So that runs from 5:40 through the second inning of the game. The Brewers host the Pittsburgh Pirates. Again, that's Tuesday, July 9th. Madison Card Show will be represented. I won't be there, but my buddy Brad is my point man at the event. He owns Bonsai Cards and Collectibles in DeForest, which is just north of Madison. So he's going to be there with his setup, and then he'll have Madison Card Show signage. And I'm looking into possibly getting some like giveaways as well that I can hand out at the Madison Card Show and other shows. But I don't know if I'll have I don't have enough turnaround. It's already June 27th. I'm going to be flying out in 4 or 5 days. So probably won't get to that by the July 9th event. So July 9th, American Family Field, Brewers, Pirates, Trading Card Night. What else? Brian says, I still have your Bellinger relic. I don't think we're going to meet up before you leave the country. We will not. No, I am slammed. We will not see each other before I am in Europe. Sports Card Ripping Teacher says, just jumping on, mentioning a Brewers game. Did you break and switch sides? I feel like I should, the way this damn Cubs team is playing. Yeah, it's the Cubs are freaking killing me. I'm glad I'm going to Europe, so I don't have to I don't have the itch to turn the game on. Brian says giveaways like marketing materials, like I don't know, koozies or something to that effect. Dan says, when are you leaving for Europe? Monday, July 1st, which I think that's Monday, July 1st. So Sunday will be my last Hobby Evolution until July 14th. Brian says, come to the fun side. Go Brewers, or you could root for the South side. Not rooting for the South side. I'm still going to root for the North side. I'm just tired of watching their losing. They go on a heater, you'll need to stay. I'm not going anywhere. I'm stubborn. Still wearing the Cubs. Still wearing the colors. So hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Hit up my eBay store, 99centcards.com. Buy 7 or more cards at regular price, and you will save 25% off at checkout. It's been a couple days since I've had my mushroom coffee. Rise mushroom coffee. I got to go have some. So have a great day. Shop my eBay store. Like, subscribe. We'll do this again. Tomorrow's Friday already. Holy shit. Time is flying too fast. So tomorrow we'll play Name That Player. It's a free-for-all. See you tomorrow.